So one of the things that he says, he actually begins this book with a hadith from Imam al-Bayhaqi, and also Ibn Abd al-Barr mentions it. So in light of some of you attended the Qigong session. The Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, "Utub al-ilm walaw fi as-Sin," seek knowledge even, walaw bis-Sin, seek knowledge even to China. And the ulama, they said, "Al-hikmatu nazarat ala thalatha." Wisdom has descended upon 3 civilizations: the aid ahl al-Sin, the hands of the Chinese, wa admighat al-Yunaniyin, and the intellects of the Greeks. But really it's that whole beginning in India, because the Greeks are actually part of the Indo-European, wa alsinat al-Arab, and the tongues of the Arabs. So he mentions that hadith because the Muslims, they took knowledge. They were very syncretic in their approach to knowledge. If they found knowledge that was useful or beneficial, they would take that knowledge where they found it. So if they borrowed from Greek medicine, they borrowed from Chinese medicine, they borrowed from Ayurvedic medicine. They also developed their own theories about medicine. And they certainly borrowed from Greek logic. There's influence from the Nagarjunan logic as well. You can see some of the influence in the Ash'ari positions that are clearly taken out of Buddhist tradition. A lot of the Buddhist logicians from Balkh and Herat and these great Buddhist centers that were in Afghanistan, they became Muslim. And so they brought a lot of their tools with them into the religion. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Al-hikmatu dallatul mu'min." The wisdom is the lost property of a believer. So wherever he finds it, he has more right to that. So he mentions, one of the things that he does in here is he talks about the fact that the fuqaha, he says the fuqaha they're really people of worldly knowledge. In fact, one of the things that he says in this very chapter, he says, وَقَدْ كَانَ سُفْيَانَ الثَّوْرِي وَهُوَ إِمَامٌ فِي عِلْمِ الظَّاهِرِ يَقُولُ إِنَّ طَرَبَ هَذَا لَيْسَ مِنْ زَادِ الْآخِرَةِ. Sufyan al-Thawri, one of the great fuqaha and mujtahid mutlaq, he was an independent jurist, had his own madhab. He said that seeking this knowledge is not provision for the akhirah. And part of the reason that he said that, and Imam al-Ghazali elaborates considerably, but part of the reason he said that is because that fiqh or jurisprudence was something that enabled you to get jobs in the government. It enables you to become a qadi, a judge. There were a lot of societal perquisites for learning it and studying it. And so the fuqaha, the jurists, then had a lot of pitfalls that were very difficult to avoid. And he goes into that. But what he says, he said, وَمَنْ تَعَلَّمَ, this is Imam al-Ghazali, وَمَنْ تَعَلَّمَ هَذِهِ الْأُمُورَ لِيَتَقَرَّبِ بِتَعَاطِيهَا إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى فَهُوَ مَجْنُونَ. If you learn these fiqh or jurisprudence, and he's not talking about your ibadah, he's really talking about all of the fard kifaya, the collective obligations that enable people to become judges. He said, if you learn that as a way to draw near to God, then you're mad. Whoever does that is mad. This was the reason, this statement, there's another statement also, but this was one of the primary reasons why they burnt the book in Andalusia during his lifetime. It was literally burnt publicly. It wasn't the best of times for difference of opinion. The Andalusians were very, very staunch Maliki. They were also Athari. They were not Ash'ari at that time. In fact, the Western Islam adopts the Ash'ari creed because of one of the students of Imam al-Ghazali, Qadi Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi. Also Ibn Turmut, who was he's a problematic figure, but he also had some influence in that. So that's what he said. He said, إنما العمل بالقلب والجوارح في الطاعات والشرف هو علم تلك الأعمال. What will get you near to God is those things, the actions that are going to purify your heart and obedience of your limbs and the honor of that. That's the real honor. So he says, if you say, and this is one of his techniques in the book, he preempts his critics. So he will say, فَإِن قُلْتَ, you might disagree and say, how can you put fiqh and medicine, jurisprudence and medicine at the same level? Because he earlier says that medicine is a worldly science also. And then, so he says, when we know that medicine is for the health of the body, and whereas fiqh, jurisprudence, is for the health of the soul. So he says, I'm not equating them. It's not a necessary equation. There's definitely a difference between them. Jurisprudence is more honorable, and he gives reasons for it. For instance, it's a sacred science, although medicine has a sacred component to it, certainly, and he considered it to be from the fara'id al-kifaya, a collective obligation. But he's saying that the Prophet did not come as a healer of the bodies. Ibn Khaldun in the Muqaddimah says, the Prophet ﷺ didn't come to teach us medicine, but he brought the principles of medicine. In fact, in the verse in the Quran, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. Eat and drink, but not to excess. One of the Greek physicians in Alexandria, I think, or one of the Egyptian towns, when he heard that, he said, مَا تَرَكَ نَبِيُّكَ, I mean, it's from the Quran, but he said, مَا تَرَكَ نَبِيُّكَ شَيْئًا لِجَالِنُوس. You know, that your Prophet didn't leave anything for Galen, because so much of sickness is from overeating, taking more calories than you need. So when it says eat and drink but not to excess, if you're not excessive in your food and drink, then your body will be healthy. So he says that that fiqh, the second reason that it's more honorable, is that people that are seeking the next world have to have ways of doing that. Whereas medicine is something that the only people that need it are the sick people. If you're healthy, and there's people that go through life, they don't ever need a doctor. I mean, there are many places where there aren't doctors. I've lived in places where there's no doctors. Tuaymarat in Mauritania in the Sahara. If you got sick, you either died or you got well. There's no 911 or no ambulance is going to come get you. And unfortunately, in a lot of places, simply because they don't know about massaging the fundus and things after childbirth, women bleed out and die from things that are easily remedied with a little bit of midwifery and knowledge. So he says that you don't need a doctor except the sick people, whereas with fiqh, you need it. Whether you're sick or well, you need to know how to behave.